There is something to love about every NFL team. What's going on, football fans? It's Mitch back here with another NFL video. And in this video, the one reason I love your favorite team. That's right. The reason I admire, the reason I adore, the reason I'm obsessed, I love your favorite team. That's right, I said it. I love your favorite team. All 32 NFL teams, I love them all. And I will give you the reason I love your favorite team in this video. If that sounds good and almost too good to be true, Gronk spiked the like button. If we get to 100 likes, don't worry, 100 likes, and I'll give you the video. The one reason I hate, despise, can't stand your favorite team. So if you want to see the part 2 of this series, which is very fun for me, then Gronk spike that like button. Also hop in the comments, and guys, let me know the one thing you love about your favorite team right now. This is the 2024 edition. So we're not talking about 10 years ago, 20 years ago. We're not talking about the history. We're talking about what we love about our team right now, okay? Also, subscribe for more NFL content just like this. You know how it goes. Let's kick it off with, in alphabetical order, the Arizona Cardinals. Shout out to my guy Liam in the comment section, Liam the Laxer. The reason that I love his Arizona Cardinals, McBride, Marvin, Murray, and the electrifying Arizona offense. That is what I love about the Cardinals entering 2024. The excitement surrounding this offense, the high-flying ability, Kyler Murray scrambling around, making plays behind the line of scrimmage, buying time, the Roadrunner himself, beep, beep, all over the field with the coyote chasing him. And he's going to make some plays. He's going to throw it up, lob it up off balance to Marvin Harrison Jr., who's probably going to make some of the most ridiculous catches we've ever seen a rookie receiver make. And then we've got Trey McBride, a future elite tight end, in my opinion, in football. And we have two young studs receiving the football. We also have a Greg Dortch, who I'm a big fan of. We can't forget about James Conner, an offensive line that I think is underrated. And again, Murray, Marvin, McBride, the M's, okay? That is what this offense is all about, and that's what I love about this Arizona Cardinals team in 2024. The Atlanta Falcons. I love Cousins' dad energy. That's what I love about the Atlanta Falcons. And more so than just Kirk Cousins' dad energy and his outfits and his kind of this gimmick he's created for himself where he is like this dad, right? Like to his teammates, to the NFL. Occasionally he'll put on a few chains and try to be like this wannabe gangster type. But you know, I just feel like Kirk Cousins has really reinvigorated the curiosity for the Atlanta Falcons. So I would say generally, Kirk Cousins is the reason I love the Falcons right now. I just think that Kirk Cousins makes them way more interesting than previously. The Arthur Smith and Desmond Ridder era was boring. I don't know what to call it. Marcus Mariota era. It was horrible. I didn't want to watch that team at all. Now I actually want to watch the dad, Kirk Cousins, go out there and sling the football. I want to see what he got up to after the game with his teammates doing a dance or something on the plane. I want to see what Kirk Cousins is doing, bro. So, yeah, I love the whole family aspect to it. I love his gimmick right now. I think that Kirk Cousins is a very lovable figure. I think he's highly underrated as a football player, a quarterback, as a passer. And I hope that he has a lot of success in Atlanta. And that's also a reason why I absolutely did not like what they did in the draft, because the reason I love the Atlanta Falcons is the dad energy of Kirk Cousins. All right. Next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens. And this one is more of a football aspect. I really love the middle of the field defense of the Baltimore Ravens. When you say Ravens, when you say Baltimore Ravens, I think Ray Lewis. I think Ed Reed, right? I think big people. I think toughness. I think black and blue football. I think smack you in the mouth. I think defense. And right now, the Baltimore Ravens last year had the best defense in the league, in my opinion. And you look at the strength of it, right? Pat Queen is now gone to the Steelers. But Roquan Smith is arguably the best linebacker in football. Kyle Hamilton is arguably the best safety in football. When you throw Marlon Humphrey at the nickel position, it becomes even that more interesting. Kyle Hamilton can play safety or nickel. Marcus Williams, a lot of people talk about Kyle Hamilton. Marcus Williams is really awesome too. Don't forget about him, right? And then you also got Justin Matabike at the defensive tackle position. He's one of the best in the game. He just got a fresh new contract, big money man, and was their leading sacker, their leading pressure guy, and their best pass rusher on their team. So you think about the middle of the field and how they defend the middle of the field right now in this modern era where every team is looking to run the ball, play action, big passes down the field, crossers galore. You have to defend the middle of the field. You have to defend in between the numbers. And this team does it better than most, if not all. So that's what I really love about the Ravens, the structure of the team and the defense. I think the Ravens will always be about defense. That is their identity. No matter how many MVPs Lamar wins, I think defense, when it comes to the Ravens, middle of the field defense, is the reason I love them right now. The Buffalo Bills. I think you guys know what's coming. Josh Allen. But specifically, what about Josh Allen do I love? And why do I love the Bills with Josh Allen? Because I never really liked the Bills before Josh Allen was drafted. Obviously, Josh Allen was one of my guys, like in the 2018 draft, alongside Lamar, but very much Josh Allen was like my guy. So I still have a lot of bias to this day. I've defended him since day one. I thought he was, going to be great, and he ended up proving me right. Like one of the first times in my YouTube career, one individual proved me right. And Josh Allen was one of those first people. So I will always thank Josh Allen for that, right? And that's why I cheer for the Bills quite a bit, despite being in the same division as the Patriots. But the specific trait that I love about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills is let's call it the I don't give a F Josh Allen. Let's call it the YOLO Josh Allen. You know that Josh Allen where it's like, every play is the last play of the game. That's what I love about Josh Allen. It's just so fun to watch when he's in this mode of like, you can't sack me. I don't care. I don't care that this is like week 4 in the NFL season and I've got to play 14 more games. I'm still going to try to run over 3 people and get this first down because it's Thursday Night Football and the Bills fans are jumping through tables for me to do this. So I'm going to try to run through 3 people on the Tennessee Titans for this first down. I don't care if I fumble. I'm just going to give my 100% effort, my love of the game, the passion. And that's what I love about watching Josh Allen, whether it's a big throw down the field, whether it's a crazy scramble, whether it's taking a hit to make a throw, whether it's the crazy celebrations, the energy, the passion he exhibits on the field. There's moments he just has these crazy like outbursts on the field. And he's also seems like a really great guy off the field, but it's that I don't give an F energy that I love about Josh Allen. I think many people love about Josh Allen, which makes him a very fun player to watch. Maybe the most fun player in the NFL to watch. The Carolina Panthers. I think the thing I love about the Carolina Panthers, and this is actually funny, which will get me into a little bit of a story here. The thing I love about the Panthers is the aesthetic. And what I mean by that is the jerseys, the colors. I love the North Carolina blue. I love the black and the blue. I love the Carolina logo, the panther. It's very majestic. It's very kind of scary in a way. Like it's kind of intimidating. Like there's some Raider vibe to it in like a different type of way where it's like kind of tough, like kind of, I don't know. It's the animal, the panther. It's just badass to me. So I really like it. I really like the aesthetic. And I've always liked the Carolina, like North Carolina Tar Heels, even like, that type of blue that, that deal is like really cool to me. I love that mix and match. But also, this leads me into my friend Brett used to be, okay, so this is a used to be, okay? So he is now, I don't know, 28, 29 years old now. And he liked the Atlanta Falcons once upon a time. But I don't know if you guys remember, but a guy named Michael Vick ended up going to jail. And at this time, we were about 9 or 10 years old. So he decided to change his team. And he ultimately went with the Carolina Panthers. I don't even know if he knew they were in the same division. I don't know if he knew that. But I think he went with Carolina because of the aesthetic. So this is a full circle deal where I think Brett chose the Panthers for the same reason I love the Panthers, the aesthetic. I think it is the aesthetic, especially the way the team has played as of late. I'm going to go with the aesthetic. All right, the Chicago Bears are next. What I love about Chicago right now is what they've been able to do to support their rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams. Ryan Poles has done a fantastic job, I think, before Caleb Williams has even taken a snap, before we have even made a judgment about his ability in the NFL, he has given him pretty much the best chance to succeed that I've seen of any first overall pick in a very long time. He has an elite receiving core, right? DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, who's been a proven baller with the Chargers for years. DJ Moore, who's a top 15 receiver, top 20 receiver in the league at the very least. Rome Odunze, who everybody thinks is going to be a very good player at the receiver position. Cole Kmet's already there. They signed DeAndre Swift just to ensure that running back position and a guy that can run and catch the football. An offensive line that has a first-round pick from a year ago. They signed Nate Davis last offseason. This was all to help Justin Fields. But they went all in after they knew that Justin Fields was no longer the guy and they were going to go get Caleb Williams with the first pick, thanks to what Carolina ended up giving them, right, with the Bryce Young trade, which kind of worked out for Ryan Poles that way. They just have so much for this kid to succeed, right? They went out and they tried to change the offense, the offensive coordinator, the scheme. They have already a pretty solid defense led by their head coach, who's a defensive-minded guy, so their defense should never be horrible in that regard. So I think Chicago, the thing that I just really love about this team is that they understand modern football. They understand to give their young quarterback support. And in a lot of ways, this comes from a scarred Patriots fan who watched my team absolutely dismantle and tear apart our young quarterback at the seams. So, Chicago, that's what I love about the Bears. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals. What I love about the Bengals, let's call it the Joe Burrow bravado. Joe Cool. That's what I love about the Bengals. It's this aura about the team, about Joe Burrow. And watching them gives me some Tom Brady nostalgia, some Tom Brady vibes. And I'm not saying Joe Burrow is Tom Brady, but what I am saying is that Joe Burrow has similar traits. Not just that they're both handsome guys, but also the fact that it's when they're on the field, it's like they have this composure. You never really know if they're high or they're low. You never really get the sense that they're out of a game. You never really get the sense that they're rattled. And you always feel like their teams are in it. And you always feel like no matter how much you think they may lose a game, they still have a chance to win. And there's something about Burrow as well that also gives me like a throwback quarterback vibe of my childhood, where my childhood was, for a lot of people, not that long ago, but quarterbacks like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and Drew Brees that I grew up watching, right? These guys that were not the greatest athletes, but the greatest minds. And Burrow gives me, not to say he's not a good athlete, but he gives me that nostalgia in different ways. He gives me the aura, and he gives me the intelligence. And that's what I love about the Bengals right now. The Cleveland Browns. What do I love about the Cleveland Browns? I think the one thing I love about the Cleveland Browns is the big yak and long, explosive offensive plays. Now, last year we didn't see this as much, but David Njoku, whenever he touches the football, I just love watching him run with the football. It looks like a guy that just does not want to go down, like ever. You give him a screen pass and he just wants to run through people's faces. So I love that. I also love Nick Chubb. And when Nick Chubb breaks off a long 50, 60-yard touchdown, it feels like Cleveland's been doing this for many seasons now where they're just able to rip off. I mean, dating back to like Josh Gordon, they just ripped off huge gains, like huge plays. I could have went with the defense here, the defensive line, a lot of different aspects, but I love Njoku, I love Chubb, I love Cooper. I like a lot of their offensive players, and I love that Njoku, Chubb, like athlete, long gains. That aspect of football I always have been a fan of, so I'm going to lean towards that with my choice for Cleveland. The Dallas Cowboys are up next, and for the Cowboys, my favorite thing is the CeeDee Lamb first down signal. I'm not even going to attempt it. Maybe I am, I don't know, but it's hilarious to me. I don't know, it's funny. And it's also kind of iconic at this point. I don't know. I really love the CeeDee Lamb first down. We had Zeke, and now we got CeeDee Lamb. So the CeeDee had an amazing season last year. I think he's an incredible player. He wears my favorite number, 88. The number 88 in Dallas is iconic, and he has earned it. And he's just he fits what it means and it is to be a Dallas Cowboy receiver. He just has it. It's hard to describe. But the first down signal is it, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's why I love the Dallas Cowboys right now. The Denver Broncos. I love their interior defensive line. I couldn't really find one that I was absolutely obsessed with here, but the closest thing I could find to love with the Denver Broncos, a team that I've constantly been ripping apart all offseason, is their interior defensive line. John Franklin Myers has been one of my favorite defensive linemen in the NFL. I love his ability to play inside or outside. Very underrated player with the Jets. Just one of those guys that I've seen play on one of my rival teams that has always stood out to me and been a good player but not gotten a lot of recognition. Zach Allen is sort of similar in that way. Got a nice little contract from Denver last year after spending some time in Arizona. I think he's become a pretty good football player in his own right. And then DJ Jones is another one that I like in terms of playing in San Francisco. I thought he was really good and underrated in San Francisco, especially as a run defender. Made his way to Denver. Has not quite been the same player. But those three players, that position group for Denver, I actually look at and I say that's one of their stronger position groups. I like that area of their team, and I think that will allow them to succeed up front in terms of their defense this year. And hopefully, they're better than I think. I just don't know if they're going to be that good. I'm sorry. Next up, the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have many things that I love about their team, but I think the thing that I love most is the middle of the field offense that they currently have. And this one was difficult because I love so many things about it. So I just kind of collabed everything together, right? So we've got Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield along with David Montgomery. One aspect, you have Jahmyr Gibbs kind of running routes, having screen passes out of the backfield where he's explosive, showing off his ability. Jahmyr Gibbs has been one of my favorites since watching him in college. Just a great running back in terms of quickness, explosiveness, vision, smooth, just an all-around, I think, is going to be an elite player for the next few years. David Montgomery is just a tough bowling ball of a human. And you've got that aspect from the running back position. You have Jared Goff and his ability to just rip the football off play action consistently, putting the ball right where it needs to be in the middle of the numbers and in between the seams. He's just unbelievable. That's the best area of Jared Goff. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league at throwing the ball in the middle of the field. And it works really well in Ben Johnson's scheme, which I don't want to leave out. Ben Johnson is one of the best play callers in football, and how he operates this offense and the tools that he has to work with in terms of Sam Laporta at tight end working the middle of the field, Amon-Ra St. Brown at the slot position, giving me Wes Welker vibes from the slot position, right? Running crisp routes, always finding the holes in the zone, breaking off yards after catch, always seemingly looking faster on the field than you would have thought he would be, right? He's one of those receivers where it's like, when a guy's behind him, they just never seem to catch up. He's just turning the corner. He's like just getting the angles. He's really quick in and out of his breaks. He's really reliable, really clutch. This is just a really fun offense to watch when they're clicking and they're just precise in their play action, their ability to move people in the run game. Their ability in the middle of the field offensively might be the best in the entire league. So love that aspect of the Lions. The Green Bay Packers, thing that I love about them is their old school approach to homegrown talent. I think their youth movement, so to speak, has been very fun to watch. I didn't think this team would be as fun to watch as soon as they were when Aaron Rodgers left, right? And they have become that. They've become a team that I'm so excited, so intrigued to see what these players blossom into, what my guy Christian Watson ultimately becomes. Jordan Love, how great can he be? Can he continue the lineage of Bart Starr, of Brett Favre, of Aaron Rodgers, of the Packer quarterback, of the greatness of that position? Right? They've got so many young players from the tight end position with Luke Musgrave to the wide receiver position, their entire wide receiver depth chart. Right? The offensive line has a couple young pieces on it, including a first-round pick from this year. And then defensively, you don't really talk about youth, but you talk about homegrown talent. You talk about Alexander, Gary, Van Ness, Wyatt, Clark. The list goes on of all these players that they have drafted, that they have molded, and have ultimately become pretty good players. And this is a team that's very old school in their approach. They build through the draft. They rarely spend in free agency. And I don't necessarily love that for all teams, but there's something about it when it comes to the Packers. And maybe it's the history of the franchise or the legacy of the team dating back to the 60s under Lombardi. But when a Packer is drafted by Green Bay, molded like Bane in the darkness, and becomes a great player, is just something about it. It's like you're a Packer, and it feels different. It's different. I don't know what it is. You guys can help me explain. The Houston Texans. What I love about the Texans, and there's many things I love about the Texans, as I've become, I think, nauseating at this point when it comes to talking about the Texans. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about that. But honestly, this offseason, CJ Stroud has just, I love CJ Stroud as a player, and obviously you guys know that already. And of course, I thought he was the best quarterback in his draft class. I thought he was going to be a stud. I said it as much in my videos dating up to that draft and leading up to that draft. Did I think he was going to be as good of a rookie as he was going to be? No, or I would have put a lot more money on things like Rookie of the Year and the Texans to make the playoffs and things of that nature. I did not make any money from that. I should have trusted myself on that, and that is a lesson that I've learned. But also, I feel like just his personality. I didn't really think or know that he had this personality, and watching him on BR, watching him on different podcasts, listening to him talk about quarterbacks, listening to him to doing these things with Micah Parsons, these little clips. If you guys haven't seen anything with CJ Stroud on a podcast or on Bleacher Report or anything like that, highly recommend it, man. He is very entertaining to watch. He brings a lot of insight to like the quarterback position, to players that he plays with. You can tell that he really cares, really loves football, really has fun thinking about it. He's kind of a football nerd, but he's also kind of cool at the same time. So there's a good kind of mix to his personality as well. Seems like a really fun guy to hang out with. So yeah, CJ Stroud in general, like obviously him as a player, but then on top of it, more so what's blown me away is just how quickly he's come out of his shell and kind of become the superstar that he is on the field, which I think is only going to continue to extend as these seasons go on. If I would have known that he had this much personality, I would have been even higher on him coming out of the draft, believe it or not. So CJ Stroud and everything that he has been representing as of late, really had a lot of fun with him lately. So CJ Stroud. The Indianapolis Colts, I would say the thing I love about them, this one's tricky. I would say the offense and just the intrigue about the offense in 2024. Anthony Richardson, like, how good is he going to be? What is he going to bring to the table? He is a Cam Newton-like freak show, right? Big, strong, fast, cannon for an arm, like one-man wrecking crew of an athlete. How is Shane Steichen going to operate with the RPOs, the run game, quarterback run game, play action aspect? I love the Michael Pittman re-signing. Jonathan Taylor is back, and you would think he's going to explode this year. The offensive line is quality. Josh Downs is solid. They drafted a young receiver in Mitchell with a ton of upside. Alec Pierce is still there. They've got a lot of promising talent in Indianapolis on offense. And they also have a young signal caller for the first time since Andrew Luck that a lot of people are excited to watch. So the Colts, I think the intriguing offense is what I really love about them. The Jacksonville Jags, what I love about the Jags is the front seven. Jacksonville's front seven is very underrated. And I don't think enough people have been paying attention to the defense. Like, I love Oluokun. He is so much fun to watch at the linebacker position, flies around the football field, sideline to sideline. 2 out of the last 3 years, he's led the NFL in tackles. Devin Lloyd had a little bit of a breakout season last year. He's a good football player, great athlete. He can blitz, he can cover, he can defend the run. Good player in his own right. But now they add Eric Armstead to Roy Robertson Harris. Right? Trent Baalke clearly has a type of about 6'7" defensive tackle, defensive end hybrids, guys that can play on the edge or inside and just eat blocks and bully people. And I've always been a big fan of Roy Robertson Harris from the Chicago days to Jacksonville. He's been super underrated. And then on top of that, Eric Armstead, I've always been a fan of in San Francisco. I don't think he's quite the same player, but he's very versatile, very kind of unsung hero-esque in San Francisco. He'll get a spotlight in Jacksonville. And then Trayvon Walker is one of the freakiest freaks you'll ever see in the NFL. Fast, strong, powerful, had a breakout second half of last season, looking for a big year 3. And Josh Allen is one of the best pass rushers in football. I think he was in the top 5 in sacks, maybe the top 3 in sacks. I think he had like 17 or something crazy. So yeah, their front seven is really talented. A lot of people sleeping on it right now, but I think, you know, I'm here to shine a little bit of a spotlight on it. It's the one thing I really like about Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville has a lot of things I'm okay with. Like, I don't mind Trevor Lawrence. He's fine. I'm not like a huge hater or anything. The offensive line's whatever, right? Doug Peterson I like, but then he also beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, so I don't know. You know, Travis Etienne I kind of like. Christian Kirk I kind of like. But the defensive line, the front seven, I just got to give it a shout out, right? Got to give it a shout out. Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, I even love the Kansas City Chiefs in one way, shape, or form. And I've got to give a shout out to the Italian stallion, Steve Spagnuolo. Shout out from one Italian to the other. Steve Spagnuolo is an absolute stud of a defensive coordinator, and I really respect him and his game plans. And even though he has beaten the Patriots in the Super Bowl before, not happy about that. Steve Spagnuolo is a great coach, and I really respect what he's done for this Chiefs franchise. I think the thing that people don't talk about enough when it comes to Kansas City's success is that coordinator change and that decision to get Steve Spagnuolo to join this staff. And ever since 2019, this has been low-key one of the most prepared, one of the most schematically diverse, one of the most creative, one of the most fun defenses to watch, one of the most physical defenses. And I think Kansas City's defense always gets better throughout the course of the year, always ascends at the right time. Even with a lack of talent in some years, he's been able to overcome it. I think Steve Spagnuolo is one of the best defensive minds in the NFL right now and has been for some time. He is a great coach, and that's what I love about this team the most. The Las Vegas Raiders. I think what I love about the Raiders right now, besides saying Raiders, is the identity. Bringing back the Raider identity, the black and blue nature of their game. Whether it's through the defensive line, Max Crosby being an absolute assassin, arguably my favorite defensive player in the entire sport. Max Crosby just has an unmatched engine. There's just nothing like watching Max Crosby play every single play in a game. Like, I don't understand how he does it, but he has relentless motor, relentless energy. A lot of people use that motor word to describe people. I mean, Crosby is insane. Like, you don't know what I'm talking about unless you've really watched the Raiders play, but he's just in the backfield like all the time. He just never gives up. Like, literally. He's like John Cena in 2005, bro. He just never gives up. Right? Never says die. And then we've got Christian Wilkins, who's a beast, now joining this team. Love that pickup for them. Even, their linebackers. I like their linebackers to a certain degree. I think that the offensive line is going to be a lot of fun because they're just going to kick people's butts all year long. I love that they are committed to running the ball. I love that they're committed to stopping the run. I like that they don't really want to have this year like a household name at quarterback. They're trying to reestablish a Raider football of like, we are going to knock your head off. We are going to run you over. Antonio Pierce is going to bring toughness to this team. And it gives me Dan Campbell, Lions sort of bite the kneecaps vibes. I think the Raiders are close. I think like one more year of rebuilding, so to speak, and I think they could be back in a good place. So I'm excited for the Raiders, but I think this identity shift is very much needed and a lot of fun to watch as somebody that never really grew up with the 70s Raiders, but always kind of liked them and liked watching their film and stuff like that, and having a lot of, just good vibes about the history of the game and the Raiders and what they stand for. And when the Raiders are good, football is good. So I want to see the Raiders get back to the Raider way of football. Next, the Los Angeles Chargers. Besides saying Chargers in every video possible, I think the thing that I love about watching the Chargers this year is going to be the dynamic between Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. First of all, Jim Harbaugh is television. Jim Harbaugh is ratings. Jim Harbaugh is going to be fun. Okay, his facial expressions are top tier stuff, right? Memeable consistency. And we've got Justin Herbert, who's kind of like the opposite. He's like the sickest player in the NFL that nobody really cares about or really likes that much because he just doesn't really have a person. He's kind of a robot. Like, he doesn't have a personality. He doesn't really have the Joe Burrow aura. He's not really as cool as Lamar or anything like that. Like, he's just Justin Herbert. He's like, looks like a surfer dude, but he's really like kind of, I don't know, like he's weird. I don't know how to describe Justin Herbert, but he's really good at playing football. I know that. And Jim Harbaugh is going to be hilarious because he's just going to be, the shark looking for blood. So I'm excited for the Chargers this year. They're going to be entertaining. I don't know how good they're going to be, but they're going to be fun. Next, the Los Angeles Rams. The thing I love about the Rams is something that I loved about the Lions years ago, which was the Matthew Stafford sizzling moments. And if you know Stafford's game, you know what I'm talking about. There's just these stretches of games and 2-minute warnings and end of game situations, before half situations. There's these stretches in games where Matthew Stafford looks like the best quarterback you've ever seen in your life. Like, there's just these throws where, like, you're like, what the was that? Like, There's two people bearing down on him in the middle of the pocket. He leans back and he throws the ball sidearm, wing, right through two people, their arms, and right into his receiver. Right, there's throws where he's running outside the pocket, like launching the ball 60 yards to Calvin Johnson. You know what I'm saying, right? There's throws where it's man-to-man coverage. The guy's absolutely blanketed on a corner route, and then he throws it perfectly right on to Cooper Kupp's, fingertips. There's just these throws and these moments and these stretches of time where Matthew Stafford is like unbelievable. And that's what I love about watching the Rams right now. There are other aspects, like I really appreciate and respect Sean McVay and his bravado, his energy. But I also, I kind of find some aspects of him a little irritating. So I couldn't really pick Sean McVay in some instances. But, the receivers, Puka Nacua being just the toughest receiver you've seen. But Stafford, in those moments, I've always loved Stafford. And that's definitely what I love about the Rams the most. The Miami Dolphins, I would say the receiving core, because I love all their players in the receiving core. Tyreek's been one of my favorite receivers when it comes to playing on the football field that I've ever seen. I mean, Tyreek Hill is just, it's almost unexplainable the things that he's able to do. I've never seen a football player able to do some of the things that Tyreek Hill can do. There's routes that Tyreek Hill can run that other people can't run. There's motions that you use Tyreek Hill for that you can't use anyone else for in the same capacity. Just his explosiveness, his lateral agility combined with the vertical speed is just unmatched in the history of football. I've never seen anybody like it before in my life. So Tyreek is special in that regard. And then you've got Jalen Waddle, who is one of the fastest humans on earth as well. And in many instances, I think he's got some power, some balance. I wish he would stay healthy consistently. That's one aspect that bugs me. He's a little soft to me, but when he's on, he is a lot of fun to watch. Really good route runner, really good after the catch. Braxton Berrios is a guy that I've always liked. He was drafted by the Patriots. He's a great punt returner. Something about that little white guy running routes in the slot position, making a few plays every game, returning punts out there. The TikTok girlfriend, all of it. Then you've got OBJ, bro. OBJ is iconic, legend. More than just football, right? Fashion, all of it. Like, OBJ is that dude. Really respect him. And so I like the receiving core. I also love the speed of the team. That was something that I could have debated here. Raheem Mostert is an Olympic track athlete. You got Devin Achane, who's fast as hell. You've got another kid, Wright from Tennessee, who's probably faster than them. So I don't know. They're just fast. I like speed. Next, the Minnesota Vikings. I would say it's a tie between the skill players on offense, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones. You know what? It's not really a tie. I got to say the skill players, but I do want to give a shout out to Brian Flores. Love Brian Flores. Love his defense. I love just his defense and how he just says F you on a consistent basis. He just says, I'm going to blitz everybody on every play. I just love that. I love that when Rex Ryan did it. I love that when Brian Flores does it. And I love that aspect. But I also feel like the Vikings, their skill talent. Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is smooth. Aaron Jones is explosive. Aaron Jones is the all-around running back. Great vision. Super underrated player I feel like, for a number of years. Justin Jefferson, arguably the best receiver, most well-rounded receiver in the game. I think he's the receiver that, I never watched Jerry Rice play in his prime, but I imagine that's how he played. Is like, he's not the fastest, he's not the quickest, he's not the biggest, but he is incredibly detailed, smooth, great route runner, always seems to make a big play, great hands, doesn't really drop passes, very smart, and then also on top of that has this swagger to him. So, Jefferson is unique. He's special. Great contract for him. Then you've got Jordan Addison, who's better than I thought he was coming out of the draft. He's really good, too. I still want to see more of him to really admire his game, but I was pretty surprised by how smooth he is as well. TJ Hawkinson is so much fun to watch just because he gets absolutely annihilated on like 90%. I've never seen a tight end get absolutely killed. Like, he looks like he's been through a car crash on every single catch. I don't know how many times I've seen him. Maybe it was Kirk Cousins. I don't really know. But Hawkinson catches so many passes over the middle of the field where he gets crushed and then he just gets back up. So I don't know. TJ Hawkinson, I just respect his toughness a lot. The New England Patriots. This one's tough because it's my favorite team. So I love everything about my favorite team. But it's a new Patriot team. So I don't have the nostalgia factor here. I would say that my favorite part of this team, I could easily say the defense, but that's kind of boring. I'm going to say the new era. Because as a fan growing up with Brady and Belichick, that's all I've ever known. So the excitement and the intrigue and the possibility of a Gerard Mayo, Drake May team really intrigues me. Because I was too young to, watch Kraft and Bledsoe and Parcells and Carroll, right? That era, I was too young. I was like 5 or 6 when I started watching, which would have been like Brady's first season with the Patriots, right? So I never really saw any other era that was detached or, not attached to Bill or Brady. And so Bill is gone now. Brady has been gone. Now it feels like it's new. It's fresh. It's different. And that's exciting for me. As somebody that kind of knows everything there is to know about Brady and Bill and that way of football. So I'm excited for this new era. Love Drake May too. Next up, the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints, what do I love about them? Honestly, the one thing I love about them is Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is just a baller. I feel like Taysom Hill would be good at any sport. Taysom Hill feels like the guy that, the white dude that rolls up to the basketball court and he's dunking on people. Like, that's what I feel like Taysom Hill is. I feel like Taysom Hill could have played like linebacker. I feel like he could play safety, receiver, tight end, running back, fullback, like kick returner. He probably could play punter, kicker, like anything. I just love players that can do that. Taysom Hill, he's tough as nails. Who would not want Taysom Hill on their team? Taysom Hill, bro. Beast. The New York Giants. Drew Lock and his dance moves. What did he do last year? What was it? He had the guns. Bro, this guy is hilarious. I don't know how to explain it. Drew Lock is one of the funniest quarterbacks I've ever watched. His dance moves are hilarious. The memes are hilarious. The post-game interviews, I literally cried watching this guy beat the Eagles. There's something about Drew Lock that is so innocent. It's like, you know what Drew Lock is? Drew Lock is like an Adam Sandler movie. That's the closest comp I can give to watching Drew Lock on a football field. Everybody knows it's not art. It's not going to win an Oscar, bro. But it's got so much heart. There's something about the performance that even if it's flawed, it's just so much fun. Okay? So that is why I love the Giants. Drew Lock. Next up, the New York Jets. There's kind of one weird thing I like about the Jets right now is that everybody hates Aaron Rodgers so much that it makes me like them. I don't know what it is. It's like the thing that everybody hates this thing, so I want to like this thing. That's what it is. But then there's also just the Williams brothers and watching them play defense. Like, Quinnen Williams is one of the strongest humans I've ever seen. He's one of the most powerful beasts of a defensive tackle in football. And I think he's like the elite defensive player that not enough people talk about, Quinnen Williams. And his brother is amazing. Quincy Williams is one of the most fun linebackers to watch in football. He is fast as hell, and he is like, does have no regard for his body. Just flies around, tries to smoke anything he sees. So those two guys are a lot of fun, but then also the like factor of the Jets that I don't know why people want them to lose. Like they haven't won anything in so long. I'm a Patriot. They haven't won anything, bro. They had like 2 years of Rex Ryan, which was great, like iconic. I love that era of the Jets because it was so much fun. And it actually made the AFC East really fun to watch. But man, how could you not, like, bro, why do we hate the Jets? Like, I don't understand. Anyways, next up, the Eagles. I'm going to say this one is tricky as well because there's a lot of things you could like about the Eagles. But I would say Saquon and the skill positions. I've always been a Saquon fan ever since he was drafted, really ever since Penn State. I think he had a chance to be an all-time running back. I think the knee injuries maybe held him from becoming that. But I still think he could have the best years of his career in Philadelphia. Look, he's never had a great offensive line. He's a 3-down back. He's still pretty darn explosive. And he's a great guy. It really feels like he is a good guy. He's going to bring a lot in terms of leadership culture to this team. He works extremely hard. He's had to go through, some injuries already. And he just feels like a guy that, wants to be great. I just appreciate that about Saquon. On top of that, I think A.J. Brown is just a monster. Love watching him play. Devontae Smith, Heisman Trophy winner at Alabama. Just really smooth player in the NFL. Just fast. Great route runner, very good vertical threat, skinny, weird build, but fun to watch. I think Dallas Goedert's been underrated for years. Good blocker, good receiver, great Super Bowl performance he had. I think these skill positions are a lot of fun. The Eagles are uniquely built because I think their skill positions and their offensive line are both awesome, but I have to say the skill positions are just more fun for me. The Pittsburgh Steelers. I love that they're bringing back Steeler football. And what I mean by that is the offensive line running the ball, right? Like the Bill Cowher Steelers, like Jerome Bettis running the rock, right? Big, ugly offensive line, Alan Faneca, right? Like just running people over. And then you've got a defensive front that I think is one of the best in the league. I don't think enough people have talked about that. I think the Steelers have really rebuilt their offensive line this offseason and through the last couple of offseasons. The guards that they signed a couple offseasons ago, Jones that they drafted last year, and now they've drafted another tackle this offseason, a center this offseason, Frazier. They've got a running game in Najee Harris, a big back, Jalen Warren, a smaller back, giving me the Deuce Staley, Willie Parker era type vibes. Then you've got the defensive line, which the Steelers have always had iconic pass rushers, always great defensive linemen dating back to Mean Joe, right? Ham at linebacker, Lambert at linebacker. Now you've got Pat Queen. Feels like it's been a while since they've had a great linebacker. They've been searching for a Ryan Shazier replacement, but then even the compliments, guys like a Landon Roberts, who I've always loved, former Patriot Super Bowl champ. TJ Watt is so good at football, and he just makes plays that nobody else makes in football. It's like those instinctual plays, the strip sacks, the knack for a playmaking play, like the interceptions, the tip passes, the sacks. Cam Hayward, just a great individual, great player, always been very, very good. Alex Highsmith is a good player. So, like, their line of scrimmage play is very admirable, very good. I think it's going to be the best it's been in years. Next, the San Francisco 49ers. There's a lot of things I love about the 49ers, as you guys know. And for once, I actually hesitated here because I was obviously, my favorite thing about the Niners. The reason I've jumped on the Niners bandwagon is Kyle Shanahan. I've always been a Kyle Shanahan guy. I love his story in terms of being the son of a great coach and being a great coach himself, which I think is a very difficult thing to do. I mean, how many other guys have actually been able to do that? Think about it for a second. I also love that there is this thing about him that there is a lot of people that hate him for some reason, despite him being great, but then also having like just being sort of just brilliant. Like, a lot of people know how brilliant he is, how impactful he's been to the offensive side of the game, how much he has influenced many teams and many offenses and many coaches, and how much his dad has influenced many coaches and many teams, and how that has carried into the NFL and how that has impacted the future of the game. And I feel like what is missing is the rings. And I feel like Kyle right now is in his era where he is like not respected for what he is. But I feel like there will be a day where that happens. It's kind of like Andy Reid. You know, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the thing that he is the son of the coach. I don't know, but I've always loved him. I like his personality. I think he's very honest. I think that he's very smart. I think that he sees the game very well on offense and defense. I think he is a good GM in his own right. He does so much at a high level. He is really like the marvel of what you want your head of your organization to be in 2024. So Kyle is definitely one, but I mean, I could have said CMC. Like, ever since CMC has gotten there, there's just something different about the 49ers. Ever since McCaffrey has gotten to that team where it's like, it feels like what the 80s 49ers or the 90s 49ers would feel like. They were missing that truly great, like, offensive player. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain, but it's almost like the Jerry Rice of this Niner team. Maybe that's too high of standards, but I don't know how to explain it. But McCaffrey was the one that I kind of contemplated here. He's so good. He plays, he's so tough. He does everything well. He's so versatile. Like, everything about McCaffrey is very admirable. He works really hard. Just everything about him, great player. Next, the Seattle Seahawks. I would say the thing I love about the Seahawks is the new defense that they're going to feature this year. I'm very excited to see Mike McDonald's take on the Seahawks defense, switching from Pete Carroll to a new defensive-minded guy with a fresh energy, a younger guy. I'm really excited to watch Devin Witherspoon this year. Loved him in the draft. I feel like guys like Byron Murphy, who was drafted out of Texas, guys like Draymond Jones, Leonard Williams, who I've always been a huge fan of, love him. Linebackers, Jerome Baker, always been a fan of him. I feel like, Julian Love's a guy I always like. Like, they have a lot of players I like. I don't know what it is on defense. They're not like household names. Nwosu, like guys that I've just always liked, and usually from other teams. But they come together with a defensive guy and a scheme that I really like, really admire, really think is at the forefront of football, and I'm really excited to watch it. So it gives me a reason to really watch them. Geno is another one where I really like Geno too. He just seems like a great guy, but I have to go with the defense this year. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this one's almost impossible for me because I was basically a Bucs fan for like 3 years. So I love so many players on this team. It's really hard for me to choose. But I think the one thing that stands out to me about Tampa, whether it was pre-Tom Brady era, post-Tom Brady era, during the Tom Brady era, is this team has been good, this team has been bad, this team has been great. But two individuals, I think, really speak to what it is to be a Buck, and that's Levante David and Mike Evans. They're very loyal. And in this day and age in football, in sports, you don't see that type of loyalty. You don't see that type of passion for one team, for one franchise. You don't see that. Usually guys are out chasing money, or they're chasing championships, or they're chasing legacy. But you look at a guy like Levante David, he's become a Hall of Famer despite not leaving. Mike Evans has become a Hall of Famer despite not leaving. How many 1,000-yard seasons? How many injuries has he played through? How many different quarterbacks has he had? Like, just great guys. Great, like, and they both seem like great individuals, following the team, being a fan of them. Mike Evans is just like one of the most, like, I I don't know how he's been able to stay there and play at that high of a level for so long. Super underrated, great player. Levante David is probably one of the best linebackers of the last 20 years. Really that good to me. So really love those guys. Feel like reason I love that team. The Tennessee Titans. This is more of the recency of what Tennessee has done and the new era of the Titans. I loved Mike Vrabel. Okay, and some Titans fans, they hate him now because he's no longer the coach. Okay, it is what it is. But I love the Mike Vrabel toughness, grittiness of that team. I loved it. But the new era of Titans, I think what I like about them is the perimeter talent that they have supported their team with. You look at Calvin Ridley, you look at DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks, Tyler Boyd, Kyle Phillips, Westbrook Akine, right? The perimeter talent, the receivers they have, and then the corners they have: L'Jarius Sneed, Chidobe Awuzie, Roger McCreary, Caleb Farley, who hopefully can be good in one day. But you look at, the talent that they have on the perimeter, and it feels like it's as good as any team in the league, truly. So that's pretty good, if you ask me. Titans are moving in the right direction for this new era, but I will miss Mike Vrabel. I hope he gets a job somewhere soon. I would love him in Dallas. Just going to say that. Last one, Washington Commanders. This one's kind of boring. Or maybe I'll switch it up. I was going to say the interior defensive line, Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, right? Those guys are beasts. Those guys are truly great players, and they're stuck in a horrible position. But I think what I'll say is the new hope. I'm going to say the new hope in Washington. New GM, new ownership, new logo, new team, right? Like, I don't know if they'll get a new stadium, but like, this is a new Commanders. This is a new, Washington football team. A new team that for many years I never really cared about. I never really thought twice about. They were always over here for me. I never really grew up with the 80s Commanders. I never grew up with the 90s, Commanders. That wasn't their name. The only really good season I can recall growing up with Washington was like 2005, like with like Santana Moss and Sean Taylor, getting there. And like I never really saw the Commanders at a high level. Right, RG3, I guess, had that one exciting year, but I'm excited for hopefully future great football from this franchise. That's what I'm excited about. So that's what I'm going to end it with. Thank you guys for watching. Gronk spiked the like button. 100 likes for the reason I hate your team, which is going to be much more vicious and less sentimental, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So 100 likes, guys, and we'll get you that video. Thank you so much for watching. It's Mitch. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.